Hello, everyone. My name is Jerry. Welcome back to the Four Radibros.
Radibros Podcast.
And today we're gonna have a new guest coming in. Say hello to Bon. Say hello, Bon.
What's up, guys? My name is Bon, and I'm studying in Australia right now.
All right. Now we're giving it back to Neil. What do you have to say, Neil?
Right, thank you very much, Jerry, right? And join with today's podcast, right? As you've already heard from Jerry, right? It's me, your lovely host, Neil, and of course, Arnold, who is in the background just a little bit. He'll get here eventually, okay? But of course, our special guest is going to be Bon, right? Who is currently having his break and traveling back to his country, where he'll exchange with us, right, about his experience of studying abroad, right? So, okay, Bon, right? Go ahead and tell us a little bit about your major, right? So, which major are you pursuing?
So I'm studying a Bachelor of Science Chemistry major in UTS, University of Technology of Sydney in Australia.
Okay, right. That's very interesting. And so, my first question for you in today's podcast is going to be when did you have the decision or the idea of traveling or studying abroad?
Honestly, I wasn't thinking about it too much until grade 11 because I was, just chilling. I always have an idea of studying in the University of Technology in Ho Chi Minh City, but then I decided to go to Sydney because I was thinking maybe it's better, maybe it's more opportunistic and more, up my level, because I think that Sydney and Australia as a whole is really good for studying science.
Right, and so Bond, have you made any preparations, right, after you decided that, oh, I'm going to travel abroad? You said to Sydney, I believe, right?
Yep.
Right, yes. So did you make any preparations, right, when you planned, right, to go to study abroad?
I honestly wasn't thinking about it too much. It was just a wing it and study situation. I know it's gonna be challenging because Sydney and Australia as a whole is being on really a tough economic problem right now. Housing crisis and stuff, and grocery crisis, where everything is really expensive. But I think that I really want to study abroad because I set my goal on it. I didn't prepare too much about it. I do my research about which school I should study at, what option I have for jobs and for housing, and what university major I should be in. But overall, I just wing it mostly.
Okay, right. Once again, thank you very much, Bon, right, for the rather quick interview section, right, about the preparations as well as having a dream. Switching back to our main cast here, which is of course Arnold and Jerry. Arnold, are you having any thoughts of traveling abroad in the future?
Well, maybe. I intend to, in fact, because I'm studying French right now. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm intent on studying abroad, specifically Canada, because I'm preparing my French as of 2 years. The next 2 years, I'm trying to get at least B2 if it's possible, and as well as try to prepare myself for all the challenges that will comes ahead, which is why I'm taking 2 years to learn French instead of just going straight away. It's kind of like a gap year.
Right, the concept of gap year. I've actually heard of it before. We'll get back to it later, though. Thank you very much, Arnold. And what about Jerry here? Jerry, do you have any plans to travel abroad as well?
Well, my plan. Currently, I'm working on a scholarship to Finland. Though I myself would really like to go to Japan, actually. Well, mostly one because of their technology, and secondly, of course, anime, manga, all that stuff.
Yes, you've always actually talked about this. Of course, to our viewers who don't know, right? Jerry is an avid fan of anime. Once again, he'll probably have a dedicated episode, right, to himself in the future. So stay tuned for that. But for now, right, as you've heard from Jerry, right, he plans to go to Finland. An interesting choice, actually, because for most of my friends who I've talked to, right, I felt like most of them don't really choose this country to go with. So I guess that there's like a really good scholarship opportunity for you, right, Jerry? That's why you chose it, okay? But yes, thank you very much once again, Jerry. And so for everyone to listen to this a little bit more, right, I would like to say that personally, from my observations, I feel like a lot of students here in Vietnam, I would say the majority would love to go to America to study abroad, right? Some other options would probably include Canada maybe, or even Australia, right? Some other very popular destinations as well. Europe, I think Germany is the most prominent. Hopefully I'm correct on this, right? But yes, those are just basically from my observations. You can probably search these data on Google, right? To see if they're true or not. You can verify them. Okay? But once again, thank you very much, both of our friends here. And now, going back to Bon here, can you go ahead and describe us your experience so far? Because you've been to Australia for, I think, more than 3 months, I believe, right? So go ahead and tell us your current experience so far.
Honestly, it was a turbulent of experience due to I have to attend a funeral back home in the middle of my session. It was a hassle because Australian school, after the pandemic, they became really more about machinery, system, and bureaucracy and stuff. I have to file like special consideration on when to take a break, when can I retake my test. It's a whole lot of hassle, and they don't even allow us time to translate our Vietnamese document into English ones, which is one complaint I have about Australian education. Really bureaucratic and stuff. I asked them about it. They said, "Oh, it was just a problem because they have to send it to an overall system to evaluate it," which is one of the most like worst one I have there. But like everything is fine. The people of Sydney, Australia, is really kind, really helpful and stuff. All my classmates is really how to say it, friendly, nice. Because Australia is really famous for its international student. I study in UTS, where everyone is just from different walk of life, from different culture.
Yes.
German, Singaporean, Malaysian.
Yes.
A lot of place, which is really fun to talk about, like how different lifestyle, different culture, different way of thinking, and especially in science, where like on how we can deal with problem is really different on another perspective of life. So it's really fun because I study scientific perspective on global issue, and it was really fun to talk to different culture and see how Australian and the world general have to deal with it. But like there are some hiccups and there are some challenges, like cost of living, the feeling of missing home, and overall the feeling of alienating because you're moving to a new country and you're not used to it. But I think I adapted quite well to it because I speak English and have good friends and good family to take care for me, to help me as well. I have a family member in Sydney who I always talk to, always hang out with, which is really fun. But if you're going alone, like most of us, it's gonna be really hard because you don't have anyone to talk to, you don't have anyone to discuss the problem about. But because I have a family member over there, it's really helpful.
Right. So in Bon's words, if I hear this correctly, then for the first part, right, which is getting used to the environment there, it wasn't a big problem because you had a lot of assistance from your acquaintances. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad to hear that because yes, like just like Bon said, unfortunately, some individuals or some people, when they go study or traveling abroad, right, they don't really have any family members to help them out, settle in, right, which could be quite difficult in a foreign land, sorry. And yeah, it could also be something that's quite interesting to people as well. And Bon has already provided a lot of details on the questions I was about to ask. So we're going to ask Bon a little bit about Australia. Now, personally, because once again, I haven't gone abroad yet myself. So I would like to ask if Australia has posed any cultural shocks to you while you were there.
Oh, definitely a lot of cultural shock compared to Vietnam. Well, adapting to it is easier than going back to Vietnam on how you see different things about life. Like, because I don't have any disrespectful meaning to it, but Australia is more about a high trust, a high culture country. You can go to a store and they won't afraid that you're gonna steal from them or something. And they have like self checkout, which is like advanced, not really about it, but Australia is really chill about it. They're like a lawful country, which is pretty different from Vietnam. The way they operate, and from a scientist perspective, and an environmentalist, the way they do stuff is also quite interesting. Like trash and sorting, they really take a big problem to it. Same with country like Germany, from what I heard of to my German classmate. They said, oh yeah, Australia is pretty much to a German standard about what you should do about your trash. You need to sort them out, which bin to throw, on which day, which week. You can't litter that much, which I respect a lot. A lot of difference in the way Australian live is kind of different on way, how stranger to stranger work. Like when you go walk down the street in Vietnam, you don't say hi to people that much. But in Australia, you walk down the street and you say hi to like people who's like chill and friendly, which is a different thing from a cultural shock for me, because I was like, wow, people is really nice here and talk a lot about it.
So they're very talkative, right?
They're really friendly.
Right. That's very interesting to hear, right? Once again, personally, right, talking to the viewers and my friends here as well, right, I'd say that Australia is currently one of the countries that I am actually considering to travel abroad as well. But of course, that'll be in the future, right, if I have any sudden changes in my plans or in my future plans, right? But for now, I think I'm going to stay here in Vietnam for now. Right. But anyways, right, we will move on to the next question here that I have for Jerry and Arnold, and it's going to be about cultural shock. So Arnold, what do you think is one of the cultural shocks that foreigners might encounter when they visit Vietnam?
Oh, wow. This is hard to tell. I'm not a foreigner myself.
I am. Partial foreigner.
Partial foreigner, right, Juan? But well, if that's the case, then we could have Juan try to answer it if you want.
Oh well, it's similar to the thing I told you about Australia, but in reverse. The way we sort our trash, when we just throw it in a pile and that's it. I mean, our infrastructure is probably not good enough for that yet, but like, it's a really jarring one where you always have to think about which to throw out and which to sort out in Australia, and then just going back home, just like throw it in the same piles. Well, of course, you could just sell them to vendors and stuff. One more thing is like how opportunistic Vietnamese feel. Like when you go to the market, you have to like, what's it called again? Barter to them about the
bargain,
price.
Right?
Bargain, yeah, my bad, yeah. Bargain to them about the price, and then like street vendor and, well, I'm not saying scammer of course, but like a lot of them in like District 1, because I love going around taking photography and picture and stuff. A lot of them is really opportunistic, which is one cultural shock I usually have. I remember that one and stuff, but like not really much difference and stuff. The pricing is probably the most like insane thing, because it's a Western country and the economy, the buying power is different from Vietnam to Australia. So buying stuff for cheap is like, wow, I can buy stuff for cheap now, which is the biggest difference.
Right, and it seems like Jerry also has something to say here about cultural shocks. So go ahead and let us know, Jerry.
I guess the biggest cultural shock they're gonna be suffering is this traffic. Have you seen the traffic?
Yeah. Oh my god, that's
my
actually really good.
If you're in Australia, every day is gonna be like a chill guy crossing the road with minimal cars. Here in Vietnam, you're gonna be seeing literal cars filling like ants over the street, like cars traveling down the road at 60 miles per hour, and like not just like 40 or 60 cars. It's a whole wave, and like it's a spectacle. I know, but it might be a shock to some people because they can't cross the road normally.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people who would just they just ran a red light just immediately.
Oh yeah, honestly, that is like something.
One of the biggest one I have back here. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, right, we are, right, as Vietnamese people, we are a little bit ashamed of this, right? But yes, I do believe that it is part of a cultural shock, right? The emphasis is more on the traffic part, right? That there's just at certain times of the day, the rush hour is crazy, right? And even when, like, at some points, I did remember being stuck in traffic for maybe around 30 minutes or something before I could actually go back home. And it was crazy. Some people might have to even wait for an hour or longer than that. And I'm not sure if Jerry or Arnold or even Bon has experienced this before.
Oh yeah, I have them. To add up on Jerry's stuff, in Sydney, you have to press a light to wait for the traffic to stop for you. In Vietnam, you just have to wing it and stuff, which is really jarring. When I went back here, it's like, where's the button? Where's the button? To press it to wait to cross the street. And then the traffic system, like how buses in Vietnam, in Saigon specifically, like Ho Chi Minh City, they have to wait in traffic, crawling around. In Australia, because the street is almost clear because everyone follow the rule, bus go fast, and because they have like their own lane, they just zoom around, which is really jarring compared to Vietnam.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Bon, for the extra added details, right? Up onto that, right? And Arnold, do you want to contribute anything else regarding cultural shocks that foreigners might encounter in Vietnam?
I mean, when it comes regards to the people here, we're not very friendly in terms of foreigner. We're very like straightforward about it. Like for example, if I see, excuse me, but if I see a black person, I would come up to him and touch him and ask him.
Okay,
why.
controversial. Let's repeat that.
No.
Okay, thank you very much, Bon, for the extra added detail here. Now, Arnold, my question for you is: do you also have any other cultural shocks that you would like to contribute to this discussion?
I mean, if we're talking about culture shocks, then obviously there would be different kinds of inferences when it comes to culture, right? Like for example, in Japan, you would have to wait the red light, but while in Vietnam, if we see like there's very few cars, and we would just go straight ahead. We won't even go into the crossing zebra. We would just go straight across without any regards to safety. And that may be one of the biggest culture shocks to people, and people might see that as a amusing fact, but the thing is, we're very busy people.
Right. Yeah, I know. Right. Once again, crossing red lights when it's like expiring, it's not a cool thing to do. Okay, everyone, just keep that in mind. But yeah, I would say that it's not like something that's like well, technically you can consider it law breaking, right? But yeah, to foreigners it might be shocking, right? But to Vietnamese like us, I guess it's just another busy Monday. Right. And of course, I would like to move on to our final question, right? Mostly focusing on our friends here. And the question is also very simple. Jerry, right? Let's ask you first. Do you think it's necessary to study abroad?
Well, for me personally, I don't think that studying abroad is all that important actually. Well, you could be pursuing your desired, let's say, job or education here in your country. It really make no difference unless your country doesn't provide you with enough, well, let's say, school or good enough professor. But going abroad to study is really not that all that important. It's not actually, you don't have to be actually doing it. Like you don't have to be forced to do it. Like let's say for me, I for once choose to be in Vietnam and studying in Vietnam, but that's only for the bachelor degrees, right? Because for me personally, I think that anywhere in the world, I can get bachelor degrees, and it will be the same normal and the same single system. It's all the same knowledge, right? until I went up and studied for master degrees or any higher study, or if I want to initiate a project or study with an actual good professor or someone that I admire, then maybe going abroad is the actual reasonable thing to do. Otherwise, I would think, okay, stay home. If you want a international degree, study at an international school in Vietnam.
Right, that's a very good opinion coming from Jerry as well. Let's see if Arnold himself has a little bit of a differing viewpoint on the importance of traveling abroad or studying abroad. Sorry.
Oh, you're saying studying only. You're not really saying
Yeah, once again, right, because we're focusing based on Bond's story, right? I would like you to discuss more about the necessity of studying abroad.
Well, naturally, if we compare the different countries' education, then we would see the differences in mindset. For example, the way our Vietnamese education system is teaching us is that we have to follow rules. We have to follow certain assets. We need to, frankly, we need good people, like the people from the insides, to tell us what we need to do. And on the Western viewpoint, they don't like to do that. They want to be open. They want to be straightforward about how they're approaching the system. That's why I think if you want to be an honest person, then you have to study abroad, because it will teach you the difference in mindset.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Arnold. That's actually a very interesting viewpoint as well. But of course, it comes in full circle, right? Go ahead, Bond, and let us know based on your actual experience, right? Go ahead and let us know whether you feel or whether you know, right, it's necessary to study abroad or not.
Oh yeah. So my opinion on this doesn't change that much from before and after I went to Australia to study. That it's kind of necessary, but not to an extent that you need to go. Everyone needs to go. If you want to, you can go. But for me, I went to Australia to study abroad is because I want to experience how different culture work and how different education system offer their knowledge and how they transfer it. Because in Vietnam, the way they transfer their knowledge for science student like me from high school, it isn't feeling really fulfilling the way they teach. They always teach about theoretical. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Arnold. Theoretical and not practical. But in Australia, everything has to be done practically. They can talk about it theoretically and then show you practical, but always revolve around practical, which I think is necessary for a science student like me. It could be different for other people, studying in mathematics, computer science, because their way of studying is different and stuff. But for me, for a science student, studying abroad is the better option for me, because the way Australia offer their knowledge and how I can be applying those knowledge for other stuff. Yeah, so that's my opinion on it.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Bon. And finally, to add on to the discussion, right, I haven't spoken much at all, right, for this episode. But personally, right, from what I've been exposed to from my teachers, I'd say that most of them, right, have studied abroad, and I'd say that they have learned many great things as well. And I think personally, the answer for me is, yeah, I think it's necessary to study abroad, and especially in this world where we're being globalized, right, where every people, right, every country is dependent on one another. I would say that it's quite important for everyone to get to know each other, understand one another's cultures, and maybe learn from each other, right? Could learn about a thing or two. And there's a whole topic based on international cooperation, globalization, and regional cooperation, right? But that's hopefully going to be another episode in the future, right? But yeah, once again, right, thank you very much, Bon, for taking his time to be here today with us, all right, with the Radibros Podcast, all right? And of course, right, we've talked about, you've heard his experience in studying abroad at Australia, and I hope that maybe this discussion today will also make you consider whether you should go studying abroad or not. Alright, but that's going to be all from me, as well as Jerry, Arnold, and Bond. Thank you very much for tuning in to the 4 Radibros Podcast, and we'll see you the next time.
This is
Goodbye.
the Radibros.
It's a great pleasure to be on here.
Adieu.
Peace out.